Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, if you've ever put emblems on a hero, then you know how difficult it can be to decide which path to take. Specifically for defensive-oriented heroes, is it better to go higher HP? Is it better to go higher defense? I have looked into this a lot and have never, ever found a clear answer. The kind of current wisdom, if you will, is defense is often more valuable. Most people will go for higher defense. However, there's been a slight pushback recently in the direction of HP because people have pointed out that there are a lot of dot heroes, damage over turn heroes, that are present in the current meta, and that type of damage. For example, Gravemaker here, 336 burn damage over 2 turns. That 336, it will go up once the troop is applied and we're actually in the battle, but that amount of damage is always the case no matter what the defensive stat of the hero is. So if I play the hardest, if I'm doing PvE, the player versus environment, playing the quest stages or any of the map stages, whether I'm on the very first level or the hardest possible level, that burn damage will always be the same. So in that sense, it's just pulling that HP or pulling that damage off of the HP. So higher HP can sustain more dot damage better because there's sort of a bigger tank of HP in the defensive stat. Doesn't change the rate at which that HP is withdrawn from that tank. So here's a perfect example, and I hadn't planned to make this video, but I wanted to when I saw Horgal, 1849 HP. That is the highest that I've ever seen. And then 766 defense, which is very low for a tank. We've seen over 1,000 for some of the premier tanks like Krampus or 991 for Telluria, or Heimdall can also get up to like 1,001, 1,003, something like that. So I wanted to attack this team with my usual green tank team, even though it's better for Telluria, and just see if I can add any information to the discussion of which emblem path is better. This is very clearly against what most people would say for a tank, so I want to see how that impacts things. Obviously, Gravemaker is typically my primary, not primary, but a significant part of my green tank attacking. So this high HP build is a good counter to that because he would have to fire tons of times to subtract 1,849 HP. So the initial hit that Gravemaker does takes the defensive stat into account, but the subsequent dot damage does not. So it appears this player, so 999 here with 1,500 HP, so very tanky. It appears that they favor HP in a lot of their emblem paths. So it's definitely possible I'll lose. This team is not well designed for what I'm facing here. But let's see how we do nonetheless. Again, my goal with these videos is not to show you that I can win. It is to provide extra insight and information and research, if you will, to some of these discussions that are being had, like what's better to do? What should I prioritize? So obviously we're going to use Gravemaker. So 250. Dot damage is going to proceed as normal. So he's still at 1,400 HP, which is quite high. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to hit with some blues before he fires and diminishes our attack too much. That was unfortunate. So the reds are hitting for 200, which is a reflection of the low defense stat. Okay, so he survived long enough to really do his job. You can't expect too much out of this guy. Don't have any chances at... It'd be nice to cleanse my attack debuff before using those blues. But it'd also be nice not to be hit by Richard. So let's kill Richard. Wow. Minus 54%. Yeah, so Horgal's attack debuff is massive. As it should be for a very slow hero. Not very slow, but for a slow hero. That was confusing. Okay, so even though she's going to dispel Black Knight, we're going to use him because there's a chance that she'll hit him for no damage. Okay, doesn't matter. That was worst case scenario. Alright. So I'm just trying to salvage this for fun, and then I'm going to run this back one more time to see what might happen. Can we get a blue? Nope. Blue would have won it for us, but we're not trying to win anyway. So can we get one more hero kill, though? I think not. Yeah, I don't have a chest to fill anyway. So let's go against this team one more time. I'm going to stick... Do I want to stick with the same team? Yes. Okay, so it'll be nice to see if I can hit Horkal with red tiles to see what kind of damage we're getting from that low defense stat and another hero, but we'll have to see what the board gives us. So those are about 170-ish. Okay, so now we'll hit Sashat with the same tiles, 86. So obviously when a hero is weak to a color, that's going to increase the tile damage. So it's not a perfect comparison, but it does give you some vague idea the importance of the defense stat. So far, he is surviving pretty well. If I had a red stack and had played this a little bit more intentionally for the team that I'm facing, I don't think that would have been the case, but again, oh, okay, well, that always helps. So, does that give me any more of an answer than I had before? I think it shows that as long as you're, if you had, for example, 20,000 HP and a defense stat of 50, I'm not sure that it would be better, so if you took it to extremes that aren't even possible, would we see different results? And I think, yes, we would. So the qualifiers that I would add to this are that I think that strategy can be perfectly appropriate as long as you meet some basic thresholds, such as a defense stat of maybe at least 700-ish, which is decent. It's thought of as quite low for a tank based on the choices that most people make and what we think to be the best information, I guess. But that did appear pretty effective, against this team. But if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I use this team for the majority of my raids, but especially the majority of green tank raids. So he is a slow hero. He did survive long enough to fire. which does say something. But yeah, I don't know if there is a way to definitively prove this without having some sort of sandbox testing ground where you can try all of these different possibilities and see how everything shakes out. So if you have any experience with this, or you feel like you have reached some sort of definitive answer, please share your experience down below. I think Horgal is one of the few heroes, especially with costume bonus, that can reach HPs that high. I think Black Knight can get up to almost 1700, and that's with like a 960 defense, so that's far better. Maybe it's 1600 instead of almost 1700. But yeah, if you have any experience with this, please contribute your experience to this conversation. This is sort of an experiment, and I don't claim to have the answer, but I'm also curious and wanting to further the conversation. So anyways, if you feel like you have something to add, please do so. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.